And why is it happening? Well, I had a meeting in November with Angela Merkel. 7 of us from the European Parliament, the group leaders, and Angela Merkel. And I can tell you, when you meet Angela Merkel in private, she looks even more miserable than she looks in public. Perhaps it was me, I don't know. But I said to her, but Chancellor, surely it would be kinder for the people of Greece to recognise that their only salvation is to get a devalued drachma back. And wouldn't it be better for your taxpayers, who've just spent 20 years paying for Eastern Germany to be reintegrated, wouldn't it be better for them not to sign open blank cheques in perpetuity? Surely we should recognise there's been a mistake made, and we should let Greece go. And Angela Merkel looked at me, no smile was evident, believe you me, and she said, but Mr Farage, we cannot possibly let Greece go, because if she leaves the euro, other countries will want to follow, and that will be the end of our European project. Well, that's right. Yeah, that's rather what I thought. And she's right, you know. She's right. Because once Greece does go, and once Greece gets a big devaluation, the following week, when you're all reading your Sunday supplements, and you see what the price of a Greek holiday is going to be, you're going to be saying in vast numbers, yeah, I'm in, and I promise already personally, I will book a fortnight's holiday in Greece the day they get the drachma back, because that actually is what being good Europeans is all about. Being good Europeans is about wanting to trade with people. Being good Europeans is about wanting to cooperate with people. Being good Europeans is recognising we have many things in common, but being good Europeans is recognising that we are all also very different. We have different languages, different cultures, and what are the reactions? I mean, I've explained to you that the bully boys in Brussels are prepared to sacrifice the Greek nation at the altar of European integration, which proves to me what mad and bad people they are. And what's the reaction of the British political class? Well, the Lib Dems still think that the euro is a success. I mean, quite where Cleggie gets this from, I don't know. Perhaps he's considering a sort of alternative career as a stand-up comedian once he's out of politics, I don't know. The Labour Party under Miliband are also totally obsessed still with the euro. There are one or two sceptical voices. Ed Balls is sounding slightly more sceptical and talking less nonsense than he often does. And what are the Conservatives? Well, let me tell you where the modern-day Conservative Party stands on Europe, because I saw the most perfect illustration of it in Strasbourg last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, we had a visit from the Italian puppet. Yes, it's not just Greece. Remember that Mr Berlusconi was the elected Prime Minister of Greece. Now, there's a lot we could say about Mr Berlusconi, and perhaps he was past his sell-by date as Prime Minister, I don't know. I personally bear a grudge, Mr Chairman, against him. I'm afraid that he did not invite me to his leaving party, and I'm greatly aggrieved by that. But either way, the time had come for the Italians to have a general election. And who was there in Italy at the time? Well, my old friend Rumpy Pumpy. And while some people remember that I might have been a bit sharp in tone with old Rumpy, I did in the second half of my speech say, but whatever your appearance, I have no doubt that you are a dedicated, fanatical man whose job is to destroy European democracy. And sure enough, Rumpoy said, now is not the time. Now is not the time for elections, now is the time for decisions. And they chose for the Italian people their next Prime Minister, a man called Mario Monti, who was a commissioner at the time the euro was invented, one of the architects of this failure that is blighting the lives of millions of people. And Mario Monti is now the Prime Minister of Italy. And he came along to the European Parliament last week to give us a speech. And of course everybody over there is completely in denial. You know, please don't bother me, Nigel. with all these difficulties about the euro, we've got much more important work to get on with. We're voting tomorrow on novelty foods and milk production figures. You know, please don't trouble me with the detail. So Monty got up and he spoke for 24, 25 minutes, and it was the usual old rubbish, how the euro is a great success. In fact, he even said the euro is our source of growth. I mean, I don't know where they get this stuff from, but never mind. And I must admit, I did heckle gently once or twice during the speech, but I just about managed to restrain myself. Anyway, when Monty had finished and sat down, from around the Parliament, from the left and the right, hundreds of MEPs took to their feet to applaud this unelected puppet that has come here from Italy. I mean, I find this just astonishing and frightening. What was the reaction of the British Conservative Party? Let me tell you, because it sums up the modern-day British Conservative Party. Several of them stood and joined the standing ovation, applauding warmly the great Mr. Monty. Others sat in their seat and applauded politely. And to my right was a Tory Eurosceptic called Roger Helmer, who remained seated, looked unimpressed, and carried on reading the Daily Express. And this, folks, is the point. This is the point, that we in UKIP are unequivocal and clear. We want to divorce ourselves from political union with Europe and to replace it with a genuine free trade agreement, which is what my parents' generation thought they were signing up for back in the 1970s. Trading with French and German and Italian companies, of course we will. But we'll also free ourselves to recognise that we're now living in a global economy. And just being inextricably linked with Europe simply isn't enough. We've got to look as a country to new global horizons and have other trade deals around the world. And it seems to us that a group of countries that have within them 30% of the population of the world, all of whom speak good English, who have common law and a shared sense of history and destiny with us, it seems to us that having a trade deal with the Commonwealth would be a very, very good place to start. And you're not going to get any of this, I'm afraid, from David Cameron. Cameron, who incidentally I do think is a genuinely nice person, but as Simon Heffer said in the Daily Mail on Saturday, if you've been used to living off a trust fund, you don't really understand what the real world is all about. And I'm afraid that is the truth of it. That David Cameron is a status quo conceptual figure. This country is in trouble. And a country in trouble needs radical government and radical leadership. And he's made promises. He's made promises to this country that, frankly, he's broken. Remember, in 2007, Cameron wrote in the Sun newspaper, which I know all of you buy every morning, and he wrote in that newspaper, "I give you my cast-iron guarantee that if I'm the Prime Minister of this country, there will be a referendum." Not anymore, is there? Not anymore. Not anymore. And the so-called veto before Christmas, frankly, has melted away rather like the snow that briefly fell and settled. Cameron is committed to us being a part of this union. He is dedicated in us not being given a referendum so that we can decide our future. He supports the continued madness of total open borders to the whole of Eastern Europe at a time when youth unemployment in Britain has reached 21%. And we look at all of these things as a party. We draw our support from the right, from the centre, from the left. We're a party that believes in putting the interests of Britain and the British people first. We do so with no malice towards anybody, regardless of age, race, sex, religion or nationality. But we just want our country back. We just want our democracy back.